Welcome back to another mind-expanding episode on GP Prodigy. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's not just crucial for your exams, but also for understanding our world: peace and conflict. Key thinkers and their contributions. 1. Johan Galtung, the father of peace studies. Let's kick things off with the big kahuna of peace studies, Johan Galtung. This Norwegian sociologist is often called the father of peace studies, and for good reason. Key concept: positive versus negative peace. Negative peace: absence of direct violence. Positive peace: absence of structural violence, inequality, injustice. Mnemonic: Galtung's got two pieces. G for Galtung. T for 2P for pieces, positive and negative. 2. Mary Kaldor, New Wars Theory. Next up, we have Mary Kaldor, a British professor who's shaken up how we think about modern conflicts. Key concept: New Wars. Old wars: state versus state, clear battlefields. New wars: complex, involving various actors, blurred lines between civilians and combatants. Mnemonic: Kaldor's kaleidoscope of conflict. K for Kaldor. K for kaleidoscope, representing the complex, shifting nature of new wars. C for conflict. 3. Edward Azar, Protracted Social Conflict. Edward Azar brings us a perspective that's especially relevant in today's world. Key concept: protracted social conflict. Long-term conflicts rooted in identity issues and unmet human needs. Mnemonic: Azar's endless arguments. A for Azar. E for endless, protracted. A for arguments, conflicts. 4. Amartya Sen, Development as Freedom. Now, let's turn our attention to the global south with Amartya Sen, an Indian economist and philosopher. Key concept: development as freedom. Peace and development are interconnected. Freedom, political, economic, social, is crucial for preventing conflicts. Mnemonic: Sen's freedom sandwich, S for senator, F for freedom. S for sandwich, layers of different types of freedom. 5. Amina Mama, African feminism and conflict. Last but definitely not least, we have Amina Mama, a Nigerian-British writer giving us a crucial perspective on gender and conflict. Key concept: gendered nature of conflict. Women's experiences in conflict are often overlooked. Gender roles can both fuel and mitigate conflicts. Mnemonic: Mama's gender lens, M for Mama. G for gender. L for lens, new way of viewing conflict. Contemporary debates in peace and conflict studies. Alright, GP prodigies, now that we've covered the foundational thinkers, let's dive into some of the hottest debates in peace and conflict studies today. These topics aren't just theoretical, they're shaping our world right now. Debate number 1. The digital battlefield: media, social media, and conflict. In today's hyperconnected world, conflicts aren't just fought on the ground, they're waged on our screens too. Social media, a double-edged sword. Social media reflects a double-edged sword in the following ways. Number 1. Mobilization and awareness. Example: the Arab Spring, 2010-2012. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter played a crucial role in organizing protests and spreading information. In Egypt, the "We Are All Khalid Said" Facebook page, created after the death of a young man at the hands of police, became a rallying point for protesters. Number 2. Misinformation and echo chambers. Case study: Myanmar and the Rohingya crisis. Facebook was used to spread hate speech and misinformation against the Rohingya minority. A 2018 UN report stated that Facebook played a determining role in inciting violence against the Rohingya. Number 3. Conflict resolution initiatives. Example: the Peace Factory initiative. An online movement that encourages Israelis and Iranians to share messages of peace on social media. Demonstrates how social media can be used to build bridges between conflicting parties. Traditional media's evolving role. Traditional media is evolving in two main ways: the CNN effect. The idea that 24-hour news coverage can influence foreign policy and military decision-making. Example: the 1992-1993 US intervention in Somalia was partly driven by media coverage of the famine. 2. Citizen journalism. Pros: provides real-time, on-the-ground perspectives from conflict zones. Cons: can be difficult to verify and may lack context. Example: Syrian Archive, a project that collects and verifies citizen-generated content from the Syrian conflict. Debate number 2. High-tech peace technology in conflict prevention and resolution technology isn't just changing how we communicate about conflicts, it's changing how we address them too. For instance, satellite imagery and remote sensing are now used for monitoring ceasefires, tracking troop movements, and identifying human rights violations. Take for example the Satellite Sentinel project in Sudan and South Sudan. It used satellite imagery to monitor and report on potential threats to civilians and helped predict and prevent violence in some cases. Artificial intelligence and big data are also playing a significant role. It helps in conflict prediction. The UN's Pulse Lab uses AI to analyze social media and news reports to predict potential conflict hotspots. Example, in 2013, it accurately predicted unrest in Sudan based on changes in food and fuel prices. Additionally, natural language processing for peace AI tools are being developed to analyze peace agreements and suggest improvements based on historical data. The Language of Peace project at the University of Cambridge is pioneering this approach. Drones are also being used in peacekeeping. Example, the UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, MONUSCO, started using surveillance drones in 2013 to monitor rebel group movements. This helped improve situational awareness and protect civilians. There are, however, ethical concerns. Privacy issues. Constant surveillance can infringe on sovereignty and individual rights. Potential for misuse. Data collected for peacekeeping could be exploited for other purposes. Debate number 3. Climate change, the new conflict multiplier. Climate change has emerged as a significant factor in global conflict, extending far beyond its environmental impacts. This phenomenon is reshaping our understanding of resource scarcity and its role in international disputes. The concept of water wars is exemplified by the tensions in the Nile Basin. Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan are currently embroiled in a dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, highlighting how water scarcity can spark international conflicts. Land degradation is another critical issue, particularly evident in the Sahel region. Here, desertification is fueling conflicts between farmers and herders as they compete for dwindling arable land. The United Nations reports that a staggering 80% of the Sahel's farmland is degraded, impacting the lives of 50 million people. Climate migration is becoming an increasingly pressing concern. The World Bank projects that by 2050, over 140 million people could become climate migrants. Pacific Island nations are at the forefront of this crisis, with rising sea levels forcing entire communities to relocate, presenting unprecedented challenges for international law and security. Furthermore, climate change acts as a threat multiplier, exacerbating existing tensions and increasing the likelihood of conflicts. Syria serves as a poignant example of this dynamic. A severe drought from 2006 to 2010 led to widespread crop failures and rural to urban migration. While not the sole cause, this environmental stress was a contributing factor to the conditions that ultimately led to the Syrian civil war. These examples underscore the complex interplay between climate change and global conflict, emphasizing the need for comprehensive approaches to address these interconnected challenges. Debate number 4. The changing nature of peacekeeping. As the nature of conflicts continues to evolve, our strategies for maintaining peace must adapt accordingly. The field of peacekeeping has undergone significant changes in recent years. Traditional UN peacekeeping primarily focused on maintaining ceasefires and separating combatants. However, modern approaches have shifted towards long-term peacebuilding. This new focus encompasses several key areas. Security sector reform, which aims to improve the effectiveness and accountability of a country's security institutions. Disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration (DDR) programs, designed to transition former combatants back into civilian life. Support for civil society and democratic institutions, fostering stable and inclusive governance. Regional organizations are playing an increasingly important role in conflict resolution. The African Union, AU, serves as a prime example of this trend. The AU's Peace and Security Council has been actively involved in addressing conflicts in Somalia, Sudan, and the Central African Republic. This involvement demonstrates the potential for African solutions to African problems, emphasizing local expertise and cultural understanding in conflict resolution. A new development in peacekeeping is the emergence of hybrid operations. These involve collaboration between the UN and regional organizations, combining their respective strengths. The UNO mission in Darfur, UNAMID, exemplifies this approach. Launched in 2007, UNAMID is a joint peacekeeping operation that leverages UN resources alongside the AU's regional expertise and legitimacy. These evolving approaches to peacekeeping reflect a growing understanding of the complex, multifaceted nature of modern conflicts and the need for comprehensive, locally informed solutions. Common IB exam questions. Here are some common questions you might face. Discuss the effectiveness of international organizations in maintaining peace. Consider UN peacekeeping missions, successes, East Timor, failures, Rwanda. Evaluate structural limitations, funding issues, political will. Evaluate the impact of non-state actors on conflict resolution. Consider NGOs, religious organizations, multinational corporations. Analyze positive impacts, mediation, humanitarian aid, and negative, fueling conflicts for profit. To what extent can education contribute to peacebuilding in post-conflict societies? Discuss role of education in fostering understanding, challenging stereotypes. Critical view, potential for education to reinforce divisions if not carefully managed. Assess the role of economic factors in both causing and resolving conflicts. Explore resource conflicts, economic inequalities as conflict drivers. Analyze economic interdependence as a peace factor, e.g., EU formation after World War II. Conclusion: the evolving landscape of peace and conflict. As we've seen, GP Prodigies, the field of peace and conflict studies is constantly evolving. From the digital realm to the changing climate, new challenges and opportunities are emerging all the time. Remember, understanding these contemporary debates isn't just about memorizing facts, it's about developing a nuanced, critical perspective on global issues. As future leaders and global citizens, your understanding of these complex dynamics will be crucial in shaping a more peaceful world. So, whether you're preparing for your exams or simply trying to make sense of the headlines, keep these debates in mind. Question assumptions, consider multiple perspectives, and always look for the connections between different factors influencing peace and conflict. And with that, we wrap up another episode of GP Prodigy. Until next time, keep thinking critically and striving for peace in your own communities. Remember, every small action for peace counts. Until next time, this is GP Prodigy, signing off. Peace out. See what I did there?